Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barty. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Demonstrations call for the arrest of a Missouri police officer accused of fatally shooting an unarmed black teenager continued last night in Ferguson. Locally, law enforcement officials are speaking out about the public safety in our own community. This as peaceful protests turned violent in a small Missouri suburb. Last night, there were 31 arrests after people began shooting at law enforcement on the ground. Prince George's Police Chief Mark McGaugh says the situation in Ferguson is no way reflects community relations in this area.
Our whole goal as a police department is to build relationships. And like I said before, we're only as good as those relationships. So that is top in everybody's mind. And what that means is getting to know people. You know, right now, Prince George's County has probably been in a better position than it's ever been, in my opinion, because of our relationships with the community. People know us. We serve this community, and our first responsibility is to this community. And that separates us from a lot of other police departments.
National Guard soldiers have also arrived in the city to encourage peace.
Are racial tensions between law enforcement and residents something new to that area? CTV had a chance to speak with an East St. Louis native to gain some insight into those questions. Vernon Herron is a Maryland resident now, but he grew up about 20 miles from the city of Ferguson. The former head of the Prince George's Public Safety Department recalls growing up as an African-American male in that state and viewing police and civilian relations firsthand.
There was no such thing as community policing. I mean, it was the police and it was the citizens, and there was no connection there. You know, it was one of those things where, you know, my parents actually told me not to go to St. Louis. You know, I had an opportunity to go there, driving a car, young man, 18 years old. I just came off a job interview and I looked up and I saw sirens. You know, I saw a police car behind me, and obviously at the siren zone, I had my windows rolled up and my music blasting, and you know, I get pulled over, and you know, for no apparent reason, and you know, he said a few choice things to me, and he, you know, threatened to impound my car and to take me in, and he never told me why he stopped me. But you know, like I said, if you had asked me like decades ago about, you know, what was going on between the police and community, I would be able to say I'm not shocked at what's going on, but I'm shocked today that this is still going on at the level that's going on.
A grand jury is expected to hear evidence in the case as early as tomorrow to determine if the officer who shot Brown will face criminal charges. And as we mentioned, numerous protests are following the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown, and those have led to tense relations between the community and law enforcement.
Our own Ray Baker was in Ferguson, Missouri over the weekend and joins us in the studio to talk about his experience and the feeling on the ground there. Thanks for joining us, Ray.
No problem.
So tell us, what was the climate, the feeling on the ground there?
The biggest thing that you can see there is tension. And I think that's the best way to describe it. Tension between the citizens, and I think citizens may be better language than just protesters, because there are so many people out there for so many different reasons. Tensions between they and law enforcement.
And what's been the role at this point of Missouri Highway Patrol in order to try and, you know, maintain some peace there? That's
a great question, Patty. One of the things that we're finding from that situation is that Missouri Highway Patrol Captain Ron Johnson, who's a resident of Ferguson, is an African-American. He's been someone who many folks are seeing that he's there to kind of change the atmosphere and change the mood of what they're seeing on the ground there, particularly among the African-American community there. Folks stop to take selfies with him, they shake hands, they high-five him, and there's an impetus on identifying both people and storefronts that are in Ferguson that are African-American owned, so you can say, please don't do this to one of our own.
Now, the tension continues to escalate. We see it every day on the news. What are the grievances of the residents there?
So that's a very interesting question. So it starts with Michael Brown, obviously, with the murder of the young man who's unarmed, 18 years old, and the facts have to be determined from that. But what folks are also saying there in St. Louis is that in many different parts in different towns within St. Louis County, have they found that there has been this difficult relationship between predominantly African-American communities and white law enforcement. And so those folks from various parts of Missouri, particularly St. Louis County, are coming to Ferguson to air their own individual grievances. And that's what we're really seeing down there. These folks that are airing their grievances, airing their issues, there are times when they say that police have unduly or unnecessarily harassed them, that this is their chance to strike back. Unfortunately, strike back is also meant not just in peaceful protests, but some provocateurs that are down there to look to instigate violence.
And we heard earlier from Vernon Herron, who used to live in that area. How has it changed with the advent of social media and the ability to videotape what's going on down there?
Now, that's a unique challenge to our protests. The United States hasn't seen this type of large-scale protests since the civil rights movement in issues in the 1960s. But with social media, there are so many different ways to organize this and communicate this. The picture you're seeing on your screen, I'm talking right now with Alderman Antonio French. He was telling me directly that folks are using social media to organize, and whenever they see tear gas, whenever there's rumors of bombings or tear gas, as I alluded to earlier, or even when there are rubber bullets being shot at folks, folks are tweeting, find refuge in this place, find this and that place. We have food and water at this place. One of the pictures you also saw was a quick trip that was then burned down, that had become a central hub for organizing and unifying with various members of the community.
All right, and that was quite an interesting trip you had there.
Very.
All right, thank you
so much.
Thank you, guys.
And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Gina Barti.